Okay. Okay, so we will begin our shloka recitation with our respectful obeisances to the Lordship, beautiful Lordships of ISKCON Sri Jagannath Mandir, Shishadipuram, Baldeva Prabhu ki jai, Subhadra Maharani ki jai, Lord Jagannath ki jai, Gaur Nitai ki jai, Panch Tattva ki jai, Lord Parshurama ki jai, Lord Vamandev ki jai, Guru Parampara ki jai, Sri Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. Okay, we will say our prayers. ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। नमो ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर शिवसादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. Okay, so today we are in the chapter 11, the universal form, shloka 11.8. Na tu mam shakyase drashtam ananeva swachakshusha divyam dadami te chakshu pashya me yogam aishwaram. Translation: but you cannot see me with your present eyes, therefore I give you divine eyes. Behold my mystic opulence. Okay, so this is what Lord Krishna tells Arjuna when he had requested Lord Krishna to show him his universal form. And so this is what is the response of Lord Krishna to Arjuna. Um, so, um, so Arjuna is a pure devotee of the Lord. A pure devotee of the Lord does not like to see Krishna in any form except his two hands form, right? Second. Right, okay. But if a devotee wants to see a universal form of the Lord, then he can do so by the grace of the Lord, not with the mind, but with the spiritual eyes. Here, in order to see the universal form of Krishna, Arjuna is told not to change his mind, but his vision. Arjuna was awarded the specific eyes to see this Vishwarupa, the Virat Rupa. This form exhibited in the material manifestation has unlimited hands and unlimited dimensions, with everything is unlimited. Later on, Arjuna even acknowledges that although he was able to see the Lord's innumerable hands and mouths, he was unable to see him completely. Now, from this we can imagine that if Arjuna was unable to see or they estimate the length and breadth of the potency of the Lord, then what about ordinary persons like us? We stand no chance. And yet we have so many philosophers, Srila Prabhupada calls them froggish philosophers. They speculate on this Virat form. The froggish philosophers may go on with their mental speculation on the subject matter of Virat, this gigantic form of the Lord exhibited by the Yogamaya internal potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But factually, no one can measure such a vast exhibition. Srila Shukadeva Goswami says that he gives detail. Um, Here is the Supreme Person, that is Lord Shri Krishna, who is considered he was considered the impersonal Brahman by great sages, the supreme personality of Godhead by the devotees, and a product of material nature by the ordinary men. So the same Krishna is experienced or viewed in different aspects. The impersonal Brahman, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, and some even consider him to be a product of material nature. And there are three different categories of people: these great sages, the impersonalists, and the devotees of the Lord, and the ordinary men or neophytes. Um, so in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna exhibits and gives details of some of his various forms. So the universal form of Krishna that we know, Virat Rupa, which we are talking here, which is a temporary manifestation. And then there is the form of time, which was discussed in Bhagavad Gita, which devours everything. And even the four-headed form of Lord Vishnu. So these three, plus there is another instance as part of Krishna Leela, wherein Mother Yashoda saw within the mouth of Krishna, the young Krishna, the whole universe within his mouth. So thus we should understand that Krishna is the origin of all these manifestations. It is not that Krishna is the manifestation of the original Vishwarupa or Vishnu. Krishna is the origin of all forms. Krishna is the source of all forms. Krishna is the source of this Virat Rupa also. So all these different forms, and there is this forever young Krishna who is in association of the cowherd boys, friends of Lord Krishna, who have performed so many pious activities in the past lives. They get to play with that Supreme Personality of Godhead, and they are uninterested in any other form of Lord Krishna. They are not interested in any other form of Lord Krishna. So we see that there is so much variety is seen here. Lord Krishna, he is viewed in different ways by different categories of people. So why Arjuna requested this? The fact is that a devotee is not concerned with seeing the Vishwarupa, the universal form of the Lord, but Arjuna wanted to see it to substantiate Krishna's statements, so that in future, when people, for understanding the people in future, they could understand that Krishna not only theoretically or philosophically presented himself as the Supreme. He was not just talking about that there is such a form, that he is supreme, but actually he presented himself as such to Arjuna. By one way is by showing his universal form. So there is a proof, tangible proof, that this was done. So therefore it was appropriate for Arjuna to ask Krishna and confirm this, because Arjuna is now the beginning of this parampara system. By mercy of Arjuna, we have Bhagavad Gita, and the lost parampara system was re-established. So, so there are neophytes, and there are impersonalists, and then there are devotees of the Lord. So, for when we see from the perspective of neophytes, why it was so, the Srimad Bhagavatam gives details of this in the first canto. The material conception of the Lord or the supreme truth is known as Virat Rupa, or Vishwarupa, is particularly not mentioned along with the various incarnations of the Lord, his factual forms. Why? Because those forms are completely spiritual, and this Virat Rupa is material manifestation. Because all the incarnations of the Lord are transcendental, and there is not a tinge of materialism in their bodies. So we know that there is no difference between the body and self of the Lord. Unlike us, in our case, we are the conditioned souls. We have a material body right now, but we are the spirit souls. But when it comes to Lord, his body and self are the same. They are completely spiritual. And there is no difference between the body and the form. The Virat Rupa is conceived for those who are just neophyte worshippers, because they in their present condition cannot think of the transcendental form of the personality of God. To facilitate a switchover in the minds, from where they are coming, because to enable these less intelligent and neophytes to adjust to the idea of the Lord's having a form, this Virat Rupa was conceived, or one of the reasons why it was conceived. To a neophyte, a form means something of this material world, because that's the conception they have lived in. and introducing them to something immediately, a beautiful spiritual form, they might not believe it, they might not take it. Thus, something of this material world, and therefore an opposite conception of the absolute is necessary in the beginning to concentrate the minds on the power extension of the Lord. This would facilitate the neophytes to slowly come to that stage where they can appreciate the beautiful Shyamasundara form of the Lord. So it is for them this material Virat Rupa is presented. Um, so the conclusion here is that the material conception of the body of the Lord as Virat is imaginary. Factually, the Lord has no material form. So it is especially meant for the neophytes. And then there are impersonalists. This Virat Rupa, as it was shown to Arjuna, is not the original form of the Lord. The original form of the Lord is transcendental form of Purushottama or Krishna himself. And the supreme truth has been ascertained as in the scriptures as Purusha or the Purushottama, the supreme person. And the absolute person is Ishvara, the supreme controller by his different energies. Lord has so many different energies by which he things are done just by his will, they work. So we know that there is a 3/4 spiritual world, which is pure spiritual manifestation of the energy of the Lord, and it is more attractive to him and his devotees. And there is 1/4 Ekpad Vibhuti manifestation of the material energy of the Lord, which is material. And devotees are not really attracted to such material forms of the Lord. So therefore, again, therefore Krishna in his supreme personal form with two hands and flute is bewildering for the impersonalists who can accommodate only the gigantic Vishwarupa of the Lord. So again, so to enable this, again, for the impersonalists, this Vishwarupa is there. And then there are pure devotees of the Lord. The pure devotees of the Lord, they worship him in his Vaikuntha forms as Narayana or Krishna. And usually the features shown in the material world have no existence in the Vaikuntha planets, and thus they are not accepted by the pure devotees. What the pure devotees worship from the very beginning are the eternal forms of the Lord existing in the Vaikuntha planets. So we know there are so many forms. There is the form of Lord Sri Rama, there is Lord Sri Krishna, there is Lord Sri Narasimha Deva, etc. And there are so many others. And devotees worship these eternal forms of the Lord. And such pure devotees of the Lord are described here as Vipaschita, uh, or the learned who are in the knowledge of the Lord perfectly. So they have this perfect knowledge. They don't see Lord as material. They know that Lord is completely spiritual. And there is also another reason which Lord Shri Krishna talks about is the mission of killing the godless kings. In his manifestation of Vishwarupa, the Lord expressed his mission of killing the unwanted population. Krishna mentions that godless kings or heads of state, when puffed up by the advancement of material wealth, education, and increase of population, always make a show of military strength and give trouble to the innocent. So this situation even exists now because there are so many. If you see the news, there are so many. There are coverages, different coverages that, for example, China has been increasing its population. It's been increasing its military strength and has been posing threat to its neighboring small countries. And there is a war between Ukraine and Russia and so many such other instances between countries when they have this nuclear power. They want to show off, they're ready to go on war. So when Lord Krishna was personally present, there were many such kings all over the world, and he thus arranged for this battle of Kurukshetra. And okay, so in conclusion, Krishna has unlimited forms. So from Bhagavad Gita, we get some description of the universal form of the Lord. Although this description was unknown to everyone before Arjuna, now one can have some idea of the Vishwarupa after this incident when it was displayed or showed to Arjuna. To see the universal form of the Lord, one needs divine vision, and a pure devotee of Lord Krishna would have this requisite divine vision. But such a devotee would not be interested in seeing the universal form of the Lord. Also, this Virat Rupa is subordinate. Lord Shri Krishna, Hari, is the supreme, and the Virat Rupa is a feature, not that Virat Rupa is original. Arjuna wanted, Arjuna was awarded special vision to see the Virat form of the Lord. So those who are actually interested in understanding the Supreme Personality of God and Lord Shri Krishna and who follow in the footsteps of Arjuna should understand that Krishna not only theoretically presented himself as the Supreme, but actually revealed himself as the Supreme. And there is a proof of this. So there are hundreds and thousands of Vishnus, but for a devotee, no form of Krishna is important but the original form, two-handed Shyamasundara. Interesting thing to note, which is mentioned in Brahma Samhita, it is stated that those who are attached to the Shyamasundara form of Krishna in love and devotion can see him always within the heart and cannot see anything else. So this is there, Brahma Samhita. It's a proof which says that one can see the Shyamasundara form of the Lord in the heart, but what one needs is love and devotion. And so there are such devotees. So therefore, we should understand that the purport of the 11th chapter is that the form of Krishna is essential and supreme. And this form of Krishna, this beautiful form of Krishna, is the source of everything, every other form, even this Virat Rupa, not the other way around. So there will be more coverage of this Virat Rupa in this chapter. So I thank you all, Prabhuji, Mataji, thanks for joining. Please join again tomorrow for the shloka recitation and chanting session. Hare Krishna. Danvat pranams.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji
Hare
Dandavat Pranam.
Krishna,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna. Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji.